Nail or beauty school was just the beginning, right? What on earth do you do now? Welcome to the Salon Success Podcast with Monaco Nail Academy. Our topics stretch beyond nails and into all things salon related, business, marketing, and social media, and at the very least hits you with real, honest stories about our experiences. This isn't school, this is real life, real business, and really freaking hard work. Before we get started, wherever you are, thumbs up, tag a friend in the comments, or hit that share button and support small business. Hey guys, Penny here from Monaco Nail Academy, and today I'm joined by Pat.
Hi.
And Leonie.
Hello again.
And we're also joined by a special guest. We've got Emma here from Allure Nail Studio and the NZ Association of Registered Beauty Professionals.
Hi there.
And just a reminder before we get started to use my code Leonie for 10% off all courses. I get a kickback from these enrollments, and they are how we support the production of the podcast.
Or you can use my code Patsative.
So before we get stuck into this week's topic, which is Emma, let's revisit last week's lesson. Pat, you were here. What were we chatting about?
Okay, so last week we were speaking to Kita from Darling Beauty Co. and Beauty Bestie NZ. So she runs two businesses. And we were talking about the social media checklist, but we actually ended up talking mostly about being able to relate to each other and being vulnerable and being real on social media. And that was a really cool and refreshing topic. So I am going to put that to you, Emma, because you're joining us this week. What do you do to kind of keep it real on socials, especially because you represent an association and you also own a salon? So yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it is totally about keeping it real, being yourself. And we've found with the association in particular, on our socials, we're putting up the executive committee members going out doing things, walking their dog in nature, getting out there, about self-help as well, like looking after your mental well-being, which is so important when you're in business and you're focused on that. It can be a real drain. So you need to look after your mental well-being at the same time. And for me, I go for a walk or I go to the gym every single morning before work. So I'm up bright and early and out there doing it. And I find it just refocuses me and sets me up for the day, especially in our job as a nail technician. I am sitting down majority of the day, and that can be anywhere from 8 to 12, 13-hour days. So it's really important to look after yourself and your mental well-being. And we find by just promoting that it's okay to take a 5-minute break, go for that walk, and put that on our socials to just encourage others to invest in themselves as well.
I think it's really cool that the executive team is doing that, because it just goes to show that what Monaco's doing is working as well, because we're doing the same thing. Like our team has been posting like behind the scenes stuff, like what's going on, and sometimes it's self-care-ish related. So that's cool. Yay.
I think everyone loves behind the scenes, because at the end of the day, we're all just people. We all have the same shit happening in our lives, and a lot of times, with influencers or whatever, you see this perfect whitewashed picture of what everybody wishes life would be like, and life is not. And so I think, putting up real snaps where people can think, oh my God, yes, they do this too, or that's just like me, or, realizing that actually human beings are all quite the same, and life still happens. Even if you present a perfectly polished image to the world, we all have our struggles, and that's okay.
Well, Pat, what was the one thing you wrote down from last episode?
Okay, so the one thing I wrote down from last week's episode, which I think we'll all vibe with, is you're not just selling a service, you're selling a relationship. Boom, drop the mic. How good.
Totally true.
Why was that such a mic drop for you, Pat?
It was such a mic drop for me because it's so true that the work that we're doing as nail techs, or even beauty professionals in general, it's not just that you're selling a service, because people won't go to you to hold hands, or especially like imagine you're an esthetician and you are doing a Brazilian wax. Can you imagine? You're not just going to go to some random schmo. You're hopefully going to go to someone who you feel like Okay, they're cool, and I'm comfortable with them to be doing a potentially intimate service like holding hands with me or waxing your lady bits, right? Like it's not just a service. Otherwise, they'll just rock up to the salon and go to whoever. But they've specifically sought out someone who's an independent beauty professional or a nail tech. And it's like, how do you set yourself apart? Like, are you someone that they're going to want to like hang out with on the regular?
Building those relationships, potentially if you've got a service provider that is doing an intimate service, you're not going to be springing all around the place and having your hoo-ha out to everybody. You're going to keep revisiting that same trusted person, and the relationship develops more and more as time goes on.
And we talk about it a lot, that like our clients end up becoming our friends. So it really is like, oh, we are selling a relationship. Like, oh,
I think you're so right. And with my having had my nail business for 18 years, the relationships that I have built with people over those 18 years is phenomenal. Most of my closest, dearest friends started as clients, and the clients, they say they trust, some of my clients call it therapy. They come, every 2 or 3 weeks. So you get to know them, you get to know their children or about their husband, their family members. You journey through with clients over the time, and they do trust you. They have to trust you. We have a saying that the 4 walls don't speak here. So they feel very safe to let me know exactly what's going on. And sometimes they don't have the trust in, say, a friendship relationship outside that they can actually really open up to, because there's judgment. There's the potential that friend knows the other person really well, and they may be in a social environment where it might get slipped that this person has let you know something. So with me, they confide, and it really builds a strong relationship, and that trust model is so important, making sure that they know you do not share that information that they have opened up to you with. It's keeping that client confidentiality.
I always say that to clients when they're like, oh, but don't tell anyone. I'm like, if I told people everything that I was told, do you think I'd still be in business? Because trust me, you're not even the first secret I've heard today.
Yeah, totally.
And before we go too far on a tangent and end up in a conversation without properly introducing you, Emma, you said that you've been in the industry 18 years. Did you train as a nail tech, or did you do beauty therapy first? Like, what was the beginning of your nail journey?
So it was 19 years ago I trained as a nail technician. I was unwell at the time. I was an accountant, and I had to give up work, and decided that nails, I'd always had my nails done, and it was something that I liked, and I thought, I'm going to learn how to do nails just for myself and to do my mum's nails while I was recovering and trying to get better. And from that, I just had this epiphany. I absolutely loved it. It was something I could control with my health, and I could look after myself and my well-being at the same time, feeling valuable. So I decided to up sticks from Hamilton, sold my house, and started a business in Tauranga. And yeah, the business has been going 18 years last month. I've had staff along the way. I now currently just have one other staff member with me at the moment. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I think you've got to find your passion. You've got to find what really makes you tick and what you want to do in life. And I joke with people, this is never going to make me a millionaire, but it wasn't about that for me. For me, it was about my health and being able to manage my life and having that work that I could control. And it has led me on so many different tangents over the years. I have educated. I'm the Haito Industry Assessor for Nail Technology in New Zealand. I've become the New Zealand president for the Association of Registered Beauty Professionals, first nail tech to actually ever be the president, because it's always been a beauty therapist. So I was really encouraged and stoked when they approached me to be on the executive committee, firstly, because I've been on that for 6 years. And I was that was the first nail technician they had on the committee. So I went, yeah, let's be seen. You know, we are beauty professionals and we are important to the industry. And that's where that journey started. And then over the years it developed, and I've just coming up for 3 years as the president. And so it's led me in lots of different avenues, but still staying grounded with my business and my focus. I always call it my baby because it is my baby. My baby turned 18 and we just, I really love what the industry has to offer. You can go as far as you like. You can take that control and see where that leads you to. I still see the business carrying on for the indefinite future. It's going really well. We're very well supported, and I appreciate every single one of my clients over the years that have made it happen, because obviously without them I wouldn't have a business.
I was doing a bit of research on your salon. Okay, when I say research, I literally just went on your website. I didn't do like a dive or anything. I wasn't being creepy. Okay, a little bit. I was like, oh, so cool. Wow. One thing I noticed, and I'm really curious about this, is that I think it said that you co-own your salon with someone else. Can you just please tell me more about that? Because it sounds really different from what we hear a lot, right? There's usually one person who owns it, or we're all independent nail techs. What is it like to co-own? Please tell me more.
So I co-own it with my parents. Mum and dad were they backed me in the beginning, and they were supposed to be silent partners, but there's nothing silent about my mother, and I absolutely love and adore her, and I wouldn't be here without her. But so go mum. And they saw what they needed to do to help me to succeed, in terms of financial backing, and also that tremendous support. My mum has over the years done reception for us. She actually does, although I'm the trained accountant, she actually does all my bookwork for me. She does my wages, she does the marketing and the accounts and things like that. So it means I can focus on our clients and what's coming through the door. And my mum absolutely loves it. The client, when she's not here, they're like, where's Margaret? They just love the relationship she has with them. She's really fantastic with clients. So she'll answer the phones, and she'll do the washing for us and make the coffees and the teas, and she's a real integral part of the business. My dad is fabulous at the outside handyman jobs. So when the gardens need doing, it's like, Dad, can you come up for a weekend? Because they don't live in Tauranga. So I'm always bribing them. I'll make you dinner, or I'll take you out for brunch. Can you come and help me?
So, and you're not in a commercial space, are you, Emma? You're in a house, or you live at the salon?
Correct.
Or?
Yeah, we've got an old villa. We've been in. My journey started in a commercial lease building, a small shop in the centre of Tauranga on Devonport Road. It actually used to be a Rodney Wayne hair salon, so it was set up with the mirrors and things like that. And I when I was looking for a space, that just seemed right at the time. So we had 4 years there. Our lease was coming up for renewal, and at the time I just thought we'd outgrown the space. We needed a bit more, and I didn't really know where this journey was taking me at that time. And I was just like, this is a time for me to change up the business, to move on. And to tell you the truth, I was having a wine with a girlfriend who lived next door to the property I'm at now. And it was a Sunday afternoon, and the property was empty. And I was telling her of my problems, and it's in the centre of town. And she said to me, what about next door? And I went, oh, don't be stupid. Like, that couldn't work. And because it's an old villa. I love it. Absolutely love it. So we toddled over here with our wines because it was empty, and there was no curtains and no frosting on windows or anything. And I looked through the windows and I went, oh my gosh, this is the place. I can see it happening. And she was like, so a couple of bottles of wine, and you make some crazy decisions. So I rang the agent that had it, and got my mum over the next day, and we came through, and I just went, this is it. It's got the right feel. It's got everything. And so, yeah, we were very fortunate. Over the time I've had a room set up for a beauty therapist as well. So I have done beauty, and not me myself, but staff member in the premises, but at the moment we're just focusing on nails. I've always called it Allure Nail Studio because for me personally, when I was getting my nails done, I wanted to go to a nail person because they specialized in nails. They did a great job at it. I would go to a beautician to have my beauty work done because they specialized in it. And you can't be fantastic at everything you do.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time. And we know with nails, it takes a lot of practice, a lot of time. I learn every day, even after 19 years of doing it. Every single client is something different, something new. Maybe it's a bit of art, but there's something to learn from every client you do. And so for me, that focus had to be on nails. So we've got a gorgeous villa. We've got parking on site, which in Tauranga is a huge issue in terms of commercial spaces. So we're very fortunate, and everyone loves the homely feel, the welcoming, just the energy of the house. It's a really gorgeous place. So we've got a room set up for pedicures, and then we've got a room set up for manicures or nail services, because we found clients didn't want to be, sometimes clients when they're having pedicures, I don't want my feet seen. They don't want people having their hands done and seeing their feet getting done by someone else. We've got it set up at 2 separate rooms for those treatments to be undertaken. So yeah.
I think, being in a villa like that, it probably enhances a lot of people's experiences. Or I guess it depends what your client's looking for. But
Correct.
I know people coming to my house, they enjoy coming to chill out. Maybe if you had younger clientele, Pat, they would enjoy coming to a more vibrant, sort of busy space. But so if it works well for your type of clients, it certainly looks cool, because I was looking online.
And it's totally about that. It's where your target market comes from. Like, we have a lot of older clientele, and you're right, the younger ones might want something vibey and something edgy. Our ones come to relax. Then quite a lot of them are working in full-on jobs, so it's their chance to be secluded, not be seen. And we found that after COVID, we gained a lot of clients because they weren't comfortable with the mall situations. They wanted that more intimate, knowing that they were in safe hands, knowing that the clients, there weren't 10 other people in the vicinity close by with that scare factor that was happening, and just taking care of themselves. So it's worked for us. When we first made the move, I wasn't sure, because being in the centre of town, you got foot traffic, you've got people working in the buildings close by. So it was a risk. It was a calculated risk, but it was a risk. And we actually gained from it, because we found that I hadn't taken into account. When people came, they were really, because of the parking situation, they were like, and it wanted to get in and out. There's an hour parking on the street, in and out. Whereas here, because the parking was available, they were like, oh, actually, I will add a service. I will get my feet done. Oh, can you do a little bit more than what I had previously done? And then we found they were bringing their friends. So that word of mouth is really important too.
Oh, wow. That's so cool. How does that work? I'm so curious, because it's like, I have seen some people where they rent like a residential house and use it as their commercial space. Was that a weird thing to talk about with the agent, or were they like, that's so weird? Or like, how did that go?
Well, our lease, although it's commercial on the house, it's actually deemed, it's depends on what your council is and what's set up. So this property was actually set up to be a home-based business in the first place when we leased it. So although we were commercial, we had to have a room set aside for a bedroom. And the council came through and they measured it all up, because they can't count common spaces like the bathroom and the kitchen. And it's all about the meterage, the square meters that are being used for business purposes. So we had to abide by those, obviously. But one side of us is commercial and one side of us is residential. So we crossed the boundary in terms of city planning of being commercial or residential. So it really comes down to what your council regulations are. And we obviously checked into that. And the leasing agent was aware that we were looking to put a business in, and that was fine. However, as I say, the council wanted us to have it worked out to be one room set aside as a bedroom, And then, which was fine because we actually have 4 treatment rooms here anyway. I didn't live on site, so but we had the room set up and they were happy and they'd signed that off. But it really comes down to your independent councils and what they their regulations around.
I guess that's a good general disclaimer for anyone that's listening in different areas, that there is such a massive difference between different councils and what is and isn't allowed and what you can and can't do. So do you find, outside of the nail tech, with the New Zealand beauty professionals, do you have a lot of people asking those sorts of questions for advice from you?
Absolutely. And our first port of call is to advise them to check in their local area for their local or regional council. We do have, I think last count there was 13 councils that actually have bylaws relating to beauty professionals and operating. Tauranga isn't one of them, but and they actually quote the New Zealand Association of Registered Beauty Professionals code of practice. They use that as their guide, and they ask us to update. Unfortunately, and we're still working with the government around it, because we'd like it to be seen as a central government bylaw. At the moment, it's local. Yeah, so it is really inconsistent, and that's why there's only 13 out of the 42, I think it's 42 local councils we have around New Zealand, and there's only 13 with bylaws. So it's really important to check your particular area and location, and then make sure that you can abide by the law or the regulations, bylaws that they have in place.
So here's a curly question for you then. How do you feel about the bylaws and regulations and things, even though we as nail technicians or in the nail service industry are an unregulated industry?
That's a really good one. It's very hard to give a definitive, clear answer because it is grey. Yes, we are unregulated. However, with regulation can come cost. Mm-hmm. At the moment, I'm talking about the councils that have the bylaws. On my experience, unfortunately, they don't have the sufficient manpower to actually go around to check and monitor. There's still people who fly under the radar, and they're the ones that, from my experience, tend to be the ones that are actually causing the issue for the entire industry. And it's that same scenario always is: a couple of bad apples spoils the whole lot. And so the ones that maintain their health and hygiene standards and regulations and follow, good safe practices, are almost the ones that are going to get targeted when it's the ones who have learnt, just self-taught themselves, and they don't understand diseases and disorders, or contagious and non-contagious and contraindicated. That are the ones that give us a bad reputation or a bad flack about it. The regulating the industry, it is something that we're in, as an association, we're in discussions constantly with Ministry of Health, and it's something that the association has been trying to get government to look into for the last 50 years. And so it's not going to be a fast avenue. However, I believe there needs to be some sort of regulation. However, it's got to be monitored. It's got to be checked. And there's so many, as we know, there's so many different courses out there that are really, really top quality professionals being put out.
Oh yeah, well, we see top quality courses with Monaco all the time.
Absolutely, and that's what I mean. And no, it's not stock standard NZQA or stock standard. This is the only person you can accept. So it's got to be fluid enough to look at those courses, but make sure those courses are sufficient. Like the Monaco one, of course, is superior because it does go through all of those conditions, all of those diseases, disorders, contagious, non-contagious. There's really thorough training. So it's a really hard one to regulate the industry overall. And then it comes down to the manpower. Who's going to do it? I know I did hear of a situation where one of the councils, and they had a building inspector going and checking about sterilisation and sanitisation practices. They had no idea what they were looking at, and they had no idea what to consider. So in that sense, if they're going to regulate, they need to have the right people to regulate the industry. I remember, side note here, tangent, but in 2012, the Auckland City Council put out their first bylaw. And I threw my toys. I absolutely I read it and I couldn't believe it. And they were saying that a salon could only perform shellac services. And so I wrote to them and I said, hey, look, as a beauty professional, and I wasn't part of the association. I'm sorry, I was a member of the association, but I wasn't on the executive. It was as a business owner and a nail technician. And I said, you are promoting a company and a brand, which you are not allowed to do by the bylaws, government regulations, because that is actually a product name. It is not a service. And they were saying, the manicures and pedicures, which we term gel polish, had to be done shellac.
That's anti-competitive. That's against the law.
Absolutely.
It's so frustrating.
It was so annoying. And that's what and they went, oh, thank you for your review. It gets reviewed in 2015 or something. So we'll look at it then. And I'm like, no, because you're actually promoting a specific company.
Did they change that?
They did eventually. But yeah, so just things like that, you've got to be on top of it. And obviously that was someone who didn't know our industry, who wrote the bylaw.
It's disappointing to think that you've got an overarching body like that had put in such a minimal effort when they actually had an opportunity to do something good.
Yeah. That's the thing is so being in my position and talking to students and graduates all the time, at least once a year, maybe twice a year, maybe more, regularly someone will mention oh, we're going to start this association. We're going to start this thing. I think who wants to join me? I'm going to put together a letter to the council. Or so I feel regularly people are we're going to make change. And I'm like, guys, do you think we've just been sitting here? Do you actually, I know that you're a brand new nail tech or sometimes a year or two in. I know that you're a fantastic nail tech. I know that your heart's in the right place. But do you think that we got to where we are today by being yeah, she'll be right? No, we've been trying. Do you understand how far we've come? Yeah.
And that's what we struggle with the association, because we behind the scene are constantly rallying, working, but we don't have answers, or we don't have hey, this is happening. It doesn't mean we haven't met with the other day it was the Honourable Shane Retty. We have these meetings constantly going on, but it takes so long. And it doesn't mean we're not championing for the cause.
And you have to get the right people to listen to you, because even you're saying, someone listens and then they write shellac or they send a building inspector. There's not the people of our collective caliber or your caliber being in the association finally giving us a voice. But we need those people to have then filtered out into the councils and stuff as well. But you become a nail tech to do nails, not to be a council person.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Penny for government. Get a nail tech in there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, 1 second. Can we take it back? Because we've been talking about the New Zealand Association of Registered Beauty Professionals and things you're doing behind the scenes. But for our listeners at home, Emma, can you just tell us what is the association? What do you do? Because you've talked a little bit about stuff you're doing right now, but what's something that everyone should know about the association and what you guys do?
So the association, as I said, was started 53 years ago now, by a group of beauty therapists, because originally it was a beauty therapy association. And it was just to show that you're in safe hands, that if you go to a clinic or salon, is a member of the association, it means that they are trained, they're qualified, they're professional. We have a code of ethics and a code of practice for all of our members to adhere to. So it's about joining forces and being collaborative together as beauty professionals. But it's also about showing your client that they're actually okay here. They are in safe hands. We understand the risk of health and hygiene and the safety practices that must be adhered to know that client isn't at risk, and that they have a professional body. We check the qualifications of each member. We do a thorough check of their qualifications, whether that's beauty, cosmetic tattooing, nail technology, obviously the beauty therapist, and laser therapy. And so the association was formed to go forth and join the group together on a professional level and to support one another in terms of sharing information, sharing knowledge, and gaining more strength on that side of things.
Is it like union vibes or like self-regulation vibes? Like,
it's probably, I'd probably go down the track of self-regulation vibes, because a lot of the beauty professionals saw some not good practices happening, and then clients start tarring everyone with that same brush that, you know, all of you do this. And it's like, actually, no, not all of us do. So it was about showing that you are professional, showing that you are knowledgeable and you are experienced and you understand what is important to perform the service to the best of your ability, and while keeping others safe. So our big campaign is Safe Hands, you know, and that's a poster to your clients. So we encourage you to put it in your salon so your client sees you're in safe hands, and they can say, what do you mean there? Well, we're actually qualified. We're actually professionals that have had our qualifications checked and certified that we know what we're doing.
So what else, like, so you're talking about the poster and stuff, which is so cool, but like it makes me go, wait, I want that poster. But what other things are you guys doing to promote the importance of the association to Joe Public? Like, I think my question is more like, I see you at expos and I see, like, as a nail tech, I follow your guys' social media and stuff, but what do you do to, like, you mentioned earlier that you're going to talk, I think, to the Herald this afternoon, and you've been talking about all these people that you're, like, talking to. I think what I'm trying to ask is, like, what's telling Joe Public that poster on our wall is important? Like, what are you guys doing on a day-to-day basis with media and stuff to promote the importance of seeing the association?
So we're making sure that we have the guidelines in place, the safety procedures, health and safety guidelines. And for us at the moment with the association, our focus is about supporting the members, who are the clinics, who are the beauty professionals, the educators, distributors, with the hope that filters down. I was just trying to find, but I haven't got it at hand. We've got a window decal that all of our members get and receive. And so we've got it on the outside of our building, and it says member of the Registered Beauty Professionals, Association of Registered Beauty Professionals. And that's the endorsement for your clients to see. So that's the Joe Public to see. We have done, and we will do it again, a public promotion, I suppose you call it, with the Safe Hands campaign. So that was making public awareness. We also are strong on strengthening our voice, whether that is with clients, whether that is with the councils, the government, things like that. And it's we also have, our membership has included insurance. So that's for the professional indemnity, public liability insurance, to make sure that you are covered if there is complaints and if procedures go wrong. We have an office manager who is there to support our members, so they can ring up with questions, and on our executive committee, we have a range of skilled people. So it ranges from beauty therapists, distributors, obviously myself, nail technician, cosmetic tattooist, and we have IPL advisors. So if people have questions, we hope in the public forum that a client could come to us and ask questions as well about where to go. We do have a list of registered association member salons or clinics on our website that's available to the public, and then we have a members portal as well, and so that's more focused and targeted to our members and specifically around their needs and requirements. A lot of it is about networking, a lot of it is about supporting and educating. And like next month, we have an AI seminar going on, a Zoom seminar with an AI specialist, and how AI can be interesting. I can't wait for it. I'm really excited because I don't know how AI can.
We did a bit of AI on here with Penny a little while ago, didn't we? That was eye-opening for me.
It's so fun. Leonie was terrified.
But having a little stalk on your Facebook page as well. So your AGM and things you do on Zoom as well. So obviously that makes it easier, no matter where anyone is in the country, that they're still accessible.
Yeah, we do. So I actually am going to Auckland for the meeting. Myself and my vice president lives in Auckland, and one of our other executive committee members lives in Auckland. So we actually all meet up at the office, and so we'll be together, and then we Zoom to the rest of the members to do the AGM. Because we're a not-for-profit, we have to do an annual general meeting every year. And so we just found, we used to tie it in with, say, the Beauty Expo. It used to tie in with our beauty awards. People were already up in Auckland for those events, and we'd go, right, the next morning we'll have it before people leave town. Well, then, of course, the COVID hit and things went a bit awry with events, and we still have to legally have our AGM. Hence, we went on to Zoom because we were like, you know what, we have to. We've got no option to. I think Auckland was actually in lockdown, one of them. So there was no way we could actually get our members, any members, to even meet up, even if they were in Auckland. So we went to Zoom, and we found it's a lot more convenient for members to attend, because it is only an hour's meeting, approximately, depending on the questions and if there's general business that needs to be addressed. But yeah, it's about an hour. So we do it via Zoom to get that buy-in from our membership.
And I see on here as well. So do you also produce a magazine?
Correct.
Oh. And is that sort of just for industry professionals, or that's something that you could have for clients to peruse as well?
A bit of both. The main priority and the main focus is for our members, and so beauty professionals. But there are a lot of interesting articles in there that clients can read. I mean, it's nothing sensitive. Like products, for example, don't tend to have the price. So there's like the retail and the wholesale. They don't have a price. So if products are advertised in there, it's more contact this supplier. This is the person who has that. So we promoted. It was a hard copy magazine, and you could put it on your coffee table in your salon, and clients could flip through it when they had a few minutes. We actually, as of this edition, have gone digital. For a number of reasons, but one of them is sustainability, because of, obviously, it takes a lot to produce a magazine, which is about 96 pages long. So there's a lot of paper, the postage and all of those costs as well. So we've gone digital, and this one will be out at the end of the month. We do 4 copies a year, and it's part of our membership. It is part of. There's some really interesting focus stories, interesting leads for the future of interviewing different people from all walks of life that may relate some way, shape or form to our industry and help us as professionals.
I think having a magazine is a great idea. A lot of things that we've talked about on here is about being connected to fellow technicians and things, and working within our community and our competition-free zone, and having lots of friendly support, particularly if you're a solo salon operator and you don't necessarily get to bounce off other technicians. It's really important to be connected in that way. And so I guess having the magazine is another way where you can actually learn about different products or different people, or, you know, without actually having to leave your house even, but it's just another form of connecting.
Correct. And it's been really well received over the numerous years because of that reason. Connection, advice, and just seeing what's new on the market, what's out there, what's available. And as you say, most of us are sole operators, and we don't have those people to, and especially now, we don't tend to have a lot of salespeople that come around to visit. You know, I know back in the beginning of my career, we used to always have once a month, you know, the salesperson would come into my salon and like show me their latest products or show me their new color range or something. We don't have those now. It's a thing of the past. Everything's gone online. So the magazine's really good for that, because you get to see the latest and greatest new innovations, and it gets you excited, and then you can investigate more.
Well, and because it's New Zealand specific too, I guess, because if you're online, a lot of what you see, you know, overseas, whatever, it might not be pertinent to you here. So it's really good to have something that's New Zealand focused.
So before we wrap up our conversation, I want to go a little more like into Emma as a person. So Emma, what would you say is your number one highlight from your 19 years in the industry? Like, what is one thing that really stands out as something you'll remember for the rest of your life, but from your time in the industry?
People, the connection with people, which sounds really broad, but I have met some phenomenal individuals. I've been fortunate to do some amazing work on some very influential people, and I've found for me that connection has been surreal, and my time in the industry, there's been some really, really huge highs, massive highs, and even when there's been some low times, because I am only human, there has been some low ones. It happens to the worst of us, and one of them, I don't always like to talk about it, but one of them was COVID. I was at rock bottom. I was living alone. My partner, he stayed away, like because he was working and he was really worried about me getting COVID, and I didn't realize how much that connection of people I needed, but I hit rock bottom and thought there was no way out. So I came out fighting. I decided, I rang my staff and I said, you know what, if I'm going down, I'm going in a blaze of glory. And I got involved with the government, and I became the spokesperson for small businesses. And I got interviewed on Breakfast TV about 4 or 5 times. I was had segments on Breakfast TV on TV1, and really championed small business and how we could make it through COVID. So as much as COVID was a real downer, I also found a lot of positives in terms of those connections I was able to make and make a difference, you know. And I had random people, you know, a guy in Palmerston North who owned a bedding company ringing me going, thank you so much, you've made such a difference. And I'm like, who are you? Like, it was, and I felt valued. I felt I had actually helped not just the nail industry, not just the beauty professionals, but I'd helped other small businesses who we were all struggling, but I was happy to front up and say, I'm struggling. I put my hand up and went, I'm down. And they were able to just go, okay, let's go with it and let's run with it. So yeah, there's been some good and bad.
That is so badass. So good.
Yeah. It was a risk. It was a big risk at the time. Obviously, because media can portray you in lots of different lights. But it was a risk that at the time I was willing to take for my business to hopefully come through it.
We should have Emma in Parliament. That'll fix us. Out there.
Emma for Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that.
So one thing that we like to celebrate at Monaco, and especially when we have guests on, is the competition-free zone. So that's a hashtag that we try and promote for all of our students and graduates and just everyone in general to use to show that they're a safe space, because sometimes the beauty industry especially can sometimes be catty, or you see competition where there's not, and that sort of thing. So when we have guests on the podcast, what we're trying to do is finish off by sharing a few things that we love about you, who is in theory a competitor, like you're a nail tech in the industry. And then feel free to share something if you've got anything, but you don't have to. And then we'll wrap up so you can go to your client. So I just think, for me, my thing that I love about you, Emma, is like my main experience with you is spending time, like I've always run into you at like comps and like expos and stuff, but getting to sit and judge comps with you and like just share that knowledge, share that experience, share lots of bags of lollies, but also just like learning from each other. I love how open you are. Like you are the competition free zone. Like you're out there championing for everybody, but also just on a one-on-one basis. It trickles down. Like it's not this like person trying to be prime minister. It's who you are as a person, and I really like that. Leonie, what's your takeaway from your chat with Emma or your stalking?
Well, a little bit with the chat is recognizing Emma. So I have seen her around. So she's obviously a visible person, which is great. But connecting, what I've seen to actually having a conversation then sort of solidifies pretty much that, Emma's a champion of the industry and we need more of those. So thank you, Emma, for that. And also that I need to look into it's quite a mouthful actually. New Zealand Association of Registered Beauty Professionals. So that's definitely my takeaway from today, is that I need to look into that in an industry that does lack official what's the word, regulation, guidance. To have something that I can show to my clients that gives them a little bit more, gives my clients a little bit more security that I am providing as good a service as I know I'm providing. So definitely my takeaway from today is that I need to be looking into the NZBA.
And Pat, what about you?
I think for me, Emma, I just want to recognize you for being such a great calculated risk taker, which I was not expecting from someone who is from an association that's almost like doing the self-regulation. You've got all the bylaws and the code of conduct, but you were talking about, it's a villa, it was residential, but now you use it as a commercial space, even though it's a home-based business. You ask questions about that. You weren't sure about the news thing, but you jumped on anyway because you were so passionate. You're like the first president of the NZBA who is a nail tech, like all these risks, but you've like really thought about the benefits to you, what are the pros, and looked at, what could be the downsides, but really trying to mitigate that. So like asking the right questions, doing the right thing, making sure you're covered. And I think that's really cool. And I think that ties back in as well with the NZBA, that you're joining something to keep yourself safe, but also build that connection with others so that you can take calculated risks in a safe way. So I think that's super cool. And yeah, just wanted to recognize you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely a journey. And I don't know, there's a lot more we could talk about, but part of it that's come up, I've just thought as well, for us as nail techs as well, with my health, I'm on a feeding tube. So I have a feeding tube attached. And so it's about showing that, resilience, and you can work within your means and your capabilities, and it's okay. It's acceptable. I rocked up at the beauty awards with a nasal one, like hanging out my nose. I rocked up at the beauty expo doing the judging with the one hanging out my nose. It was like, I care, obviously I do care, but I also am like, this is me and this is my journey and this is what's happening at the moment. Don't judge me on that. Let me show you my skill and my passion for the industry.
I love that so much. Where can our listeners find you and your salon, and also the association, to follow in and to look into more?
So for my salon is Allure Nail, ALLURE, nailstudio.co.nz. And the beauty association is the New Zealand Association of Registered Beauty Professionals, and it's Beauty, BEAUTY, NZ. .org.nz.
Awesome. And with that done and dusted, before you listeners disappear, like our page or follow the podcast so that you don't miss the next episode. We'll be back next week. Pat, what are we covering next week?
Next week, we will be talking about deposits and booking fees. So come and join us again next week if you want to learn more about that.
Alrighty, so until then, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube by searching Monaco Nail Academy, or follow our salons. Mine is Hard Lacquer.
Mine is Pets of Beauty.
Leonie.
Nail Alchemy by Leonie.
And Emma, for the last time, yours is?
So it's Allure Nail Studio .co.nz and the Beauty Association. So Beauty NZ at .org.nz. And thank you so much for letting me have this opportunity to talk. It's been a real fascinating session, and look forward to more in the future.
Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Have a great week, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.